Hey everybody, I'm Matt Hill. I'm a night fire specialist. I'm here for the Talking Energy show in the Trace Management podcast studio. Trace Management, engineering firm, graciously giving me space to talk with my friends. I'm going to introduce my friends. Well, I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves. Let's go around the room. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Stephen Davis, and happy to be here, Matt. Thank you to Trace for all the hosting.
Yeah.
This is really fun. I've been looking forward to it.
I've been looking forward to it. Steve Davis, I've known this guy like 20 years, started off taking me on ski trips with oil and gas guys. We had a lot of fun with that. What about you, buddy? Back in the room.
I'm George Edwards, Edwards Environmental Corporation. I appreciate the opportunity to do another one of the podcast with you.
Putting you in the hot seat, man. I always got questions for you, buddy.
Well, I generally have answers. May not be the right one, but I've got answers.
I don't bring you here for the right answers, just for fun answers. And then we have a brand new guest.
Brand new.
Yeah. Yeah, walked in the studio. He's like, "What is going on in here?" I'm glad you're in here, though.
What have I walked into?
Greg, introduce yourself to the
I'm Greg Hall. I'm chairman of Caddie. We're a monitoring and measuring company, but been in the oil and gas business for over 45 years and an operator for over 40 years. So
nice.
I like to
give me your background.
I made 5 rattlesnake roundups in my career. 1983, 1986, 1995, 2008, and then you had 2016 and then just recently. So it's right. It's had its ups and downs, right, George?
Yes, it definitely has.
Some days are better than others.
Yes.
But we're still here. There's nothing.
We're still vertical,
and there's nothing more fun.
Right.
No, I mean now after officially like me, I'm 2004. That's not a huge breadth of history, but it's had its ups and downs since I've been in it, and I cannot imagine doing anything else other than gas. It's the people. You guys are my family. There's nothing I want to support more than what we do. That's why I started this. You asked me earlier, when we came in here, how did all this get started? Well, I don't like the narrative that, outside of our industry portrays us, and I have an opportunity to, give our stories out there. Right?
Absolutely. The first question I ask people when they get on us is, how did you get here? You probably didn't ride your bike.
Yeah.
So.
Well, even then, what machines did they use to smelt that ore? That's right.
And I didn't use an electric vehicle either.
Well, Steve, how about you, man? How you're not in oil and gas directly right this second, as long as I knew you were up until recently, and now you've transitioned. So what are you doing now?
Right now, I do home loans for hometown lenders. I'm a licensed loan originator. We're a mortgage bank. We only do fixed rate mortgages. And so I help people buy houses. So it's a really good, feel-good job for me. I'm real excited when people get the keys to the house. I like to try and go to the closings. So I'm here to really kind of tell my story about after the oil field, because I got squeezed out when COVID sent prices in the negative range. So like thousands of other people across the country and probably the world in the oil and gas industry, all of a sudden we didn't have jobs. And so what did I do after that? How did I get to where I am now? And how would I want to give back to my friends in the oil and gas business?
Well, you're creating products for us. You were telling me one thing.
That's correct. Yes, I did get a product approved through my bank. Specifically, I had the oil and gas folks in mind for this.
Knowing full well that we might have ups and downs in our future.
That too, and now here we are with interest rates are the highest they've been in 2 years, so affordability goes down. There's a tight market with not a lot of housing inventory, and I'm offering lender credits. And so that can help you buy down an interest rate. It can help you with closing costs. It can, really help people get into a house. And this is through employers. And so it's like an employee incentive program. And so you can offer your employees this lender credit through us. If you're competing for good hands, right? This is something that can help. If you have to relocate people.
We are competing right now for good hands.
Right.
I don't know about you or you, but I am every one of us is having a really hard time finding people that want to get into oil and gas.
There's a couple of things, and I think George will testify this. People our generation, a lot of them left.
Yes.
They just quit. In the last downturn, they just said, it'll never be good enough for me to make it matter. So they left, and with them left a lot of talent, and a lot of knowledge.
And that's true in many industries. There's other industries that I work in besides oil and gas. And I was in a conference 2 days ago in Nebraska, and I asked for a show of hands of how many people that were in the business 5 years and less. And there was 2 hands that came up. Everybody else had been there much, much longer.
Is that 2 whole hands from 2 separate people, or was that like 5 people with 2 hands?
2 human beings that raised their hands.
And there's a separate part of this. Now I'm going to go back in time, 1986.
Mhm.
You remember we were at $30 and we went under 10 and it
Yes.
wiped a lot of people out. And everybody that was headed to engineering school switched, and that was the rise of the computers, and they went to MIS. And so in the industry from 1986 to 2000, there are just very few technical people even exist. Go try to hire somebody in that age group. They just don't. And so now what you've got is you've got the 60 and older
Yes.
and 45 and younger.
Nothing in the middle.
There's nothing in the middle. And I tell the young people, another 5 years, you're going to run the whole industry. We're all going to be gone. You're going to run it. So get ready. At 45 and 50, it's going to be yours. And so actually that's the positive outlook is everybody ahead. There's nobody ahead.
Well, I wish there were, because it's always nice to stand next to somebody that's been in the entire lifespan.
Been there, done that.
What do you think? Because I'm about to throw out a big decision here. I need those people to bounce ideas off of. The worst thing our industry has done is let our experience lead us. That's what our foundation is. But hey, you know what? We're gonna have to just pull it out somehow.
So the other bad information that's out there is that the industry itself is going away.
No.
It will never happen. It's physically, it violates the second law of thermodynamics. It's not going to happen.
Physics
It's not going to happen. And so because of that, there's a really bright future. Even with the rise of all the alternative energies, I heard a statistic the other day that even if the EV revolution takes over, all those projections, we're still going to have a 10% increase in the need for petroleum just because of the growth of the world. So
Sure.
the future in this industry is unbelievably bright.
Greg,
So get in and learn how to do it. It'll be really.
tell me all of your history. I mean, we've got time in here. That's
Sure.
what this is for. I want to hear more.
Okay,
about
here's
it.
the most.
I'm going to creep on your history a little bit, but I want you to tell
Here's the most
everybody else.
important thing. Here's how it went. I was the last engineering class at the University of Oklahoma that taught sliding. Fall of 1969, it was up on the board. And then next year, the Bomar handheld calculator came out. Add, subtract, multiply, and divide. $125 in 1970. And HP came out with HP 35, and the HP 45 was programmable. And then everything in technology just took off from there.
Yes. Do you remember the HP12C business calculator?
I do.
I still use mine today.
Yeah, no. But
Max
before
always
then,
said
we
the same.
carried books and continuous tables, and
Yes.
anyway, it was a real interesting time to go through school. And when I started, oil was $2.20 a barrel, profitable. And when I got out, timing is everything. My fall of my senior year was the oil embargo, 1973. Oil went from $2 to $8 almost overnight. And I remember my drilling professor walked in one night and told everybody in the room, he said, "You fellas are getting ready to be recruited like blue chip running backs from the state of Texas." And that was true. I had 5 job offers. And finally, I went to work for Chevron. My starting pay was $685 a month. And they called me and said, "Just don't listen to anybody else. We know what's going on." By the time I showed up to work, my opening salary was $1,085 a month. I got a 40% raise and I never worked a day.
Wow.
That's just all timing, right? Nothing
That's timing.
Yeah. And I didn't know how I was going to spend $1,085.
Well, if you were smart, you would have been buying real estate, right?
Yeah.
That's something, Steve. I mean, have you seen, so you and I have been in this long enough to know the ups and downs. And when you and I were younger, if we got a little bit of extra money, we didn't think to go buy real estate. And now you're doing a very good job about reaching out to oil and gas workers and saying, "Hey, look, by the way, you can go buy that boat and the fancy, cars and all the gadgetry, or you can start investing in your future," which we haven't done very well of in our industry.
Right. Part of my job now is I look at credit reports all day. And I was looking at one the other day. This gentleman he bought a Harley Davidson for $37,000, has a $900 a month payment, and he can't get qualified to buy a house. So he's got a motorcycle that appreciates, and he can't buy a house that appreciates. He's missing out on all the appreciation going on in the real estate market right now. And so that's the thing, is like being smart, when you do get the opportunity to make a lot of like a good day wage or get a good job in oil and gas, be smart.
I like where you're coming at this and saying, "Hey, look, all the companies, all the service companies, all the operators, like offer this to your employees and make it known that, hey, there's other options out there.
Right, and there's the reason why people in oil and gas work so hard. The reason why they work away from home is their family. So this, set down some roots, get a roof over their head, and the ups and downs of the business, you're going to have your house.
Yeah. How many families have you had in oil and gas?
Yeah, I'm curious, when you look at a loan application, how many what I call newbies under 5 years coming out of school have a huge amount of student loan debt? How does that affect them?
Well, the biggest trend right now that I see are student loan deferrals. So the sort of like the people could defer their mortgage for a while. People are doing that with student loans too. They've got over $100,000 in student loans or $40,000 in student loans. A lot of people haven't even consolidated them yet. So they have all these different trade lines in their credit report, all these different, for each semester, I guess it was. It's a little scary because eventually you have to start making payments on them again.
How does it weigh on their, it's obviously has to weigh on their ability to qualify.
Correct. It affects their debt to income ratio.
And that makes me want to get every young engineer for drilling, completion, production, all these guys coming out of college, man, reaching out to them right now and as they're coming out and saying, hey, let me help you.
I think that's going to be a big drag on our economy because all the debt that all the wage earners come out with have to figure out. They kind of been sold the bill of goods.
Did your college weigh you down with debt when you were done?
It wasn't available. It really wasn't available. It was whatever help you got from your parents. A lot of part-time jobs. I referee basketball games at the downtown Oklahoma City Y. In fact, a quick story on that. We had a particularly prestigious game, and I called a foul at the end, and I hear out of the stadium, you hear this voice, that guy better not make that shot. And so I called timeout, and I went over to the scorer's box, and they paid us in cash. They just took it out of cash box. I said, I want my money, and I want the other rest money right now. He says, why? I said, because if this kid makes his shot, I'm running. And I need $15.
That's funny. I'm going to a basketball game after this, actually. My kid plays basketball. Well, he's my step kid, okay? I'm like 5'7", he's 6'3", right?
So he can play basketball. Yeah.
So I've seen games like that where the refs are running after the game.
That's right. But I'm taking my money.
George, what do you got going on right now? You got the George Edwards Environmental Corporation, and ultimately, I'd like to see you out there remediating more well sites.
It's been a couple of years since I've done any saltwater remediation.
Water for a lot of people, taking care of water issues. I think with oil and gas the way it is right now with the whole ESG, I'm sure you've heard a lot about the ESG points in the world. What can you do, to really let these companies know that what you do is not terribly expensive to go out and remediate the sites.
I look at a couple of things.
We're the best stewards of our industry ourselves.
Right. My upbringing is such that I always look at the cost-benefit ratio, and I'm always dealing with opium, other people's money. And so that's always in the front of what I do. When you look at dig and haul, you're looking at $100, $200 a cubic yard to haul it off, and you still got to do something with it even if it's hauled off. I've done saltwater remediation projects for as low as $25, $35 a cubic yard for my portion of it. And so, again, the cost-benefit ratio was there. And I was active with one major oil company for about 5 years. And we did over 45 saltwater remediation projects in southeast Oklahoma. And then we had that gross production tax and a few other little things that entered into, COVID entered into it. And the major said, we can't afford that, and we will sell out and leave. And they did.
But with regulatory the way it is nowadays, and insurance companies, too, and lawsuits possibly in the future,
right.
It'd be, better to say, hey, if there's any possible way to make sure that we always go out and test every well site on a regular basis, and guys like you are not only testing, but hey, we got this covered, wherever it might land, like per year basis, and say, hey, I'm going to take care of this well site for you per year. Here's roughly what it's probably going to cost. I'll keep product down on it and make sure that all remediation is taken care of. And there's so many ways to make sure that, I'm sure the insurance companies out there would love, to hear from people like
Somebody that can manage it.
yeah, and say, hey, look, hey, operator, we got this. We appreciate what you do for the world. This isn't in your wheelhouse. This is for me to take care of, and I got you. No problem.
Well, that's one of the things actually that Caddie does. When I started as an operator, I had a no-spill rule on my own properties, and it was out of self-defense. It wasn't a big issue back in the early '80s, but I didn't want to talk to the landowner. I didn't want to talk to regulatory people, and so it's the ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right?
Right.
It's the best way to go about it. Is don't ever have it happen. And so when we started Caddie, we realized that less people, less experience. You could measure tank levels, monitor tank levels, you could control pumps. Then, we've got alarm systems that we put on it, and we essentially check your tank 96 times a day. And so you know what your tank capacity is, you know what your fill rate is, and you can look at it. And here's one of the best situations. You'll know this intuitively. It's Friday night, everybody's tired, it's snowing, you turned a well on, and you're thinking in the back of your mind, is that tank going to overflow? And so you have to sit there and agonize and make a choice. Am I going to get in the truck and go back to the lease or not? Well, with Caddie, you're sitting there watching Gunsmoke. You can look at it on your phone, and then you get to decide, no, it's getting full. I need to go do something, or I need to call somebody, or no, I've got enough capacity for in the morning, and you go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
That was designed out of my experience as an operator. That was no great insight. It's just
That's a no-brainer.
Gotten off the couch and drove out there, and it was okay. Or I didn't get off the couch.
And yeah.
And so with technology, this couldn't have been done 6-7 years ago, but the technology developed, computers, cell phones, all that it's just a really easy way. Well, what's the value of never having a spill? I'm not qualified to answer that. But you could probably put a number on it.
The way I look at every situation is unique. Location, concentration of salt, a number of things all come into it.
Creeks run into the Tulsa City water supply. I've got a well right off of Keystone, and I tell everybody I do not want to be on the 6 o'clock news. I don't have a lot of time left in my life.
Hey, and in Oklahoma, that may not happen, but man, if you're in Colorado, they love flying their helicopters over well sites.
Well, that's the other thing.
Been wrong.
Drones are now in existence, and the EPA and other agencies are monitoring the drones, so there's a lot more monitoring capability.
Sure. Permian, they're doing methane, emission drone work. Yeah.
And then look, there is a class of citizens. I'm not running them down, but they take it seriously, and they love to go out and find violations and report. So it's a different world we live in.
Right.
It's different. If in the early '80s you were promoting this, it wouldn't have happened.
No.
It's here now.
Well,
yes.
I've been following Caddie a lot. I mean, honestly, for just maybe a little selfish reasons, but night fire specialists, my fire suppression systems will eventually, we hope, be on every well site across the U.S. at tank batteries or SWD. And so with your technology, you might be able to marry it to ours. And if there's, you guys might be able to tie in detect heat and fire with what you've already set in place. And then you can remotely set off our fire suppression systems.
So it's even better than that. We have a very simple little device. It's very inexpensive. We call it our Modbus Gateway. But there are a lot of smart devices in the field already. They're already out there. The technology's there. They have an output. You can read them. But in the modern day world, most people get in a truck, drive out, stick a thumb drive in, download it, take it back to office. Well, it doesn't seem to be the highest and most efficient use.
And you're still putting
No, it wouldn't be.
And you're putting them in harm's way too. And
Sure.
timing and everything else. Well, this, if you've got an output, we can plug into it. We can map the register and report to your phone with alarms.
Wow.
So what do you want to know? And then here's the last thing. This goes back to what you did, George. It's a date stamp. Okay, so now you got a third-party date stamp. You overflowed on this tank. No, I'm looking at it right now, and our tank level was 3 feet 6. I don't know where the water came from, but it wasn't us. So how do you have a timestamp on everything that you do? How do you prove you didn't do so? The earthquake stuff, we work with the Geologic Survey.
Yep.
In fact, there's a guy down there, Kyle Murray, who might be listening. He just left the survey. I don't know what he's getting at. I saw it on LinkedIn. Good guy. And they were measuring earthquake activity. And so we just contributed our devices to them so they could measure it remotely. Well, okay, how do you get into this? We didn't cause the earthquake, right? Yeah, I have a disposal well, but who says how much you're putting in? well, Caddie's got a timestamp. You know, how many barrels going in.
Interesting. Yeah, and we had an earthquake this morning in Blanchard.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's a few wells down there.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, earthquakes kind of disappeared when the price of oil dropped.
Yeah.
Production dropped, injection rates dropped.
Everything dropped.
Everything dropped. Now, as you got activity ramping back up, what are the injection rates? What's that going to look like? I mean, we don't know, but we know more about it now. We're monitoring. So, you know, there's all types of use of technology, and you couple that with the fact that people have disappeared, and not mysteriously, they're just retired. And you've got a whole younger generation that is tuned into their phone. Okay, if it's not on my phone, it doesn't exist. Okay, so use the phone as the window to their world. And
Yes, it is.
We've got clients who'll be sitting at a Thunder game and they'll be checking.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, it's fun.
I haven't seen, I mean, I've been seeing that. Yeah. Our whole career, most of our friends that are our customers, you know, customers and friends, we take them to, you know, whatever, and they definitely are looking at their phone on their app for their well.
Yeah, they can see the top go.
Yeah. Hey, guys, I got to make a call, this, that, and the other, and they can come back to it. I mean, it's a great improvement because they can still have a life and still monitor the wells and take care of their people out there.
This isn't my company, but I drill a lot of wells. And we have advice. We use Pason. It's
Yeah,
not the only
Pason's
one, but
great.
they're great. And I use them. And I used to have to, when we were going to drill through the zone, I used to have to get up and drive out there at 3 in the morning, drill through. Well, now I just wake up and go look at it on my computer or on my phone. And then when I'm through, I go back to bed.
Or my dad's uncles who would have to
Pretty
drive
good
into
for an old
town,
man, right?
Yeah.
get on the
Yeah.
payphone or get on the bag phone eventually. You know, those guys call
The
me.
payphone. I'm old enough. I carry $10 worth of quarters in rolls with me at all times so that I could leave the rig, drive to a little town, find a payphone. And the generation today doesn't even know what a payphone is.
No, they have no clue. Or a bank
I was in
phone.
a hotel where they had a big, it was very elaborate bank of what we used to do with the payphones were. I asked
Right.
this young person who worked for me. I said, do you know what that is? And they went, I don't have a clue. I said, oh, so I gave you the story. And when I got my first cellular phone, it was a car phone.
Yeah.
The reason is it had to go in your car. It had to have a big enough battery that would operate.
Yes. Remember those days.
Completely changed my life.
Where'd you go after Chevron?
I worked for Kirby for 2 years, and that was a
They
great.
still drill wells every now and then.
That was a great experience. But I always wanted to be in business for myself, and I used to go to lunch with all the engineers up there, and everybody was driving about their job, and you know. And I did a little calculation on the back of a napkin that if I could just get 5 barrels a day to my name, I would never go hungry. Now that's a pretty lofty goal, right? My joke is I've been in it 40 years. I might make it yet. But I mean, to me, it was all about independence and freedom. When you say I'm an independent oil producer, all caps, bold letters, italics, underline, independent. More than anything, family. Do I work hard? Yes, but I've got free time with my family. I get to choose when I want to work, what I want to do, what I want to do.
My dad was an independent oil producer, and I remember many times he had a little field down by Pumpkin Center on the east range of Fort Sill. And he'd go down, and he would do the repairs on the wells. They were strippers. And it was 1960, and I said, Dad, can I help? Is there something I can do to help? And so at 10 years old, I'm there on the ladder with some silver paint, painting the tanks. So we've
Was it
been,
a little shallow?
Yeah.
800 feet?
Yep.
It may not be the exact one, but I've worked on one down there. And it was right opposite the firing range, and you could hear them shooting the shells off.
we had a few shells landed in the pasture to the south of the well and killed a
It
cow.
didn't happen to me, but I've heard those stories.
Yes, yes.
It's probably the same unit, 700 or 800 foot
Yep.
production.
Householder well
Are they
is what it
still
was.
producing to this day?
Huh?
Are they still producing?
I don't know. Dad probably, it may have gone dry. I don't know. It's been too many years ago.
I'm pretty excited right now. Hey, so the last time I was in here, this was an announcement if anybody's still watching, but wherever I was asking every single person that came in here, like, how many wells do you think are producing in the U.S. right now on the books, right? Like we can actually, record data. And man, we could not, find that. So anyway, a friend of mine, Michael Dunn, was in here not too long ago. Ethan and Michael, he went digging. He finally got me an answer. It was from the EIA government website. He started coming through data. Roughly 1 million wells are on the books right now producing. It's like 900 and some odd, thousand, blah, blah, blah. But it's roughly 1 million wells producing on the books in America. And then I was like, okay, so now that we have that answer, if anybody out there, my next question to the U.S. is, how many of those wells are flaring? How many of those have trapped gas that we're having to flare? You know, if there's any possible way, anybody can get me that data. I'm just very curious. We have roughly 1 million wells producing in the U.S. land that we're recording. I'm sure there's others out there, but then how many of those have flares?
I would imagine quite a bit.
I imagine quite a bit too.
And that'd be wasting a lot of natural gas.
Well, but once again, like well, Caddie, our industry is the absolute best at solving our own problems. We have the engineers and the drive. First of all, anything that's wasted is wasting money.
Correct.
Very economically efficient, if anything, which in turn goes out to environmental efficiency. But with that said flared gas, we are now coming up with solutions like Bitcoin mining, or we've at least showed the American public, hey, we're going to have to put in some pipelines. If you don't want flaring, cool, no problem. You have to get rid of this gas somewhere. Pipelines are the best. Bitcoin's next. Either way, you tell us what you want to do.
So I had a conversation just 2 days ago. We've got a little small field. It's not completely stranded, but it's curtailed, but it has a Green River Dam Authority transmission line running right through it. So the discussion is how to take the gas, the old generation station, and sell gas to the Green River Dam Authority. So
are they open to that?
Well,
because so
okay.
far in Oklahoma, most of the companies have not been open to taking our electricity.
Publicly, they tell you, yes, we will do it, but when you get down to the negotiation, yes, we don't want to bother with it. I'm not saying yes or no about Green River Dam Authority, but interesting you said that. I put in my checklist, item 1, just run the quick feasibility numbers. Will this work? Okay, because if it's not going to work, there's no need to pursue it. But 2 is, before we do any work and spend any money, we got to go get a contract. We got to go to them and say, is it possible to do it? So those are the type of things that people are looking for and looking to do. And I know in West Texas, particularly before the downturn, they were going around the cities trying to figure out how could we sell you or give you free gas? How could we convert you so that you would burn up all this excess gas that we just didn't flare?
At a discount.
So
we get to sell it, but
Sign me up.
Really cheap energy.
But regulation won't do that because it'll make it too cumbersome and it'll interfere with the free market. People can move much faster when they solve the problem and get it done. So anyway, there's a
weird how our government doesn't like us to have cheap, affordable, reliable energy sources right at our fingertips.
We were approaching energy independence.
Yeah.
We were at energy self-sufficiency, but we were approaching total independence. This downturn came. I'm not blaming that on anybody. It was tough. But now we've got a group of people that are asking the Saudis to produce more instead of enabling people in our country. I think there's a group of people that want to kill us.
It's a treasonous little group of those guys.
It's very serious.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I all agree in this room. And if you're watching, I'm sure you agree with it. We might be sending out this video to a bunch of, this is an echo chamber, we know this, but if you're not in oil and gas and you might be, pro independent energy, listen to us. We're here to help.
I think the other thing is the implication is oil people are against any type of new technology, alternate technology. Hey, if you want an electric car, I want you to have it. Seriously, you need to have electricity. If you want to do alternate things, solar, I'm for it. Personally, I think the universities ought to have more money to do R&D because there will be a time we'll need to be good at it and we'll need. But I'm not a big believer in the government picking winners and losers.
That's all this is power grab from one.
Well, they're not qualified. They're just
Amen.
Smart people, but they're just not qualified.
That's the whole key. They're not qualified. They're not qualified.
What all does Well Caddie do? Give me all the bullet points of everything you guys can.
Okay, I'll tell you how to start.
There we go. I like that.
Okay,
Origin story.
This is actually a cool story. So, in my oil company, and it sounds more impressive than it really is. It's just my wife.
I don't even care about the truth in here. I just like it.
My wife was my wife was an agent capital, not that she's rich, but back in the day when I quit, she was a nurse and she worked and we ate, had her house note, and I started her business. So fast forward, I created an internship program at our company because I created a job that I wished I had had when I was in school. It's in my field. It pays more than minimum wage, and I get to do it when I can do it, not when I'm employed, right? So with technology, I could have interns working on their computer remotely watching the football game on Sunday afternoon. I actually have witness to that. So over the years, I bet I've hired 20 interns and great talent. 2 of them still work for me. Okay? I mean, I've got permanent employees. But one of the founders of Caddie, Caleb Ashley, was an intern. And I noticed that Caleb was more than 2 deviations from the mean on intelligence. Okay? He was just different from day one. So we got to talking about some of these operational issues, and he said, I can solve that problem. And I said, well, okay, Mr. Big Shot.
Do it.
And let's go do it. And I took him off intern roles. And he's a mechanical engineer from OU by graduation, but his specialty is robotics, making things move in another room. That's what he does. And it's actually pretty good. So he showed me these little gadgets that he built, and I was really impressed. I said, all right, here's the problem. So he came in a couple of days later. Here's the solution. Okay, how much is it going to cost? He told me, go do it. And he worked a couple of years as an intern, and we provided the money. And I just wanted to see if he could do it. Okay, that was my only motivation. But at some point, it actually worked. And we had to make the decision: is this a cool science project that we're just going to kill, or are we going to try to turn it into a business? And starting a business from scratch is tough. There's a lot of moving parts. And anybody that says, hey, this guy got rich and all he did was that, had never seen it before. So anyway, we started small, and it was difficult, friends and family, but I had production, so I was the guinea pig. And our big deal was saltwater injection wells in water. And I was getting all kind of reports. I had no idea what was going on. Mm-hmm. So we invented a device that could measure the injection rate and the injection pressure. So with the injection pressure, if it's always 300 pounds, then I don't need to acidize, right? If I see my injection pressure start to rise, well, what? I'm scaling up or something. Or my pumps aren't working. I mean, I can tell. And so when do you find that out? Well, we would find it out the next day. And so that worked. And so we would go around to people and say, well, what else? Well, we have a device called the ant clamp. It's non-invasive. It's real simple. It measures the current through the line that goes to your motor running. Not real diagnostic, but hey, running, not running. Well, how many wells that were making 3 barrels a day you thought were running and you realized it's been down 30 days? And nobody told you.
Wow.
Running, not running. Okay. I got a saltwater pump. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to kick on at a certain level. Running, not running. Is that important? Absolutely.
Yes.
It's real simple. And so then we just start talking. And the best device we have, bar none, is Modbus Gateway. It's really simple. It doesn't do any diagnostics. It's back to what I was saying before. You've got an ABB total flow meter, and you're measuring. You've got all the different parameters. We plug it in. It's got a card. You plug it in. It's got its own power source. And we map the registers. What do you want? You want static pressure, differential, line pressure, cumulative volume, yesterday's daily rating. ABB total flow might measure, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 pressure. You don't need all this. So we gave you the top 5, whichever ones you want. And all of a sudden, your world changes. Because guess what? Natural gas is a proxy for oil. If you got a flowing oil well or producing oil well, and you're making, it's 1,001, you're making 100 MCF a day. Well, okay, you're making 100 barrels of oil a day. But if your gas goes down, that's a pretty quick signal, right? Something else is down. So that is the easiest way to know. And we call it the 60% solution. You know, if I say 0 to 60, what do you think about?
Speed.
Yeah. How fast can a car, Mustang, go from 0 to 60? That's what, our 0 to 60, and I'm marketing people over here to get on me about this. But right now you're at 0. You don't know anything, really. And I can get you to 60% in less than an hour. We can
wow.
Out there, we can hook it up, and all of a sudden, it's like the scales off your eyes. You can see everything. Then you start asking questions, and then a real interesting thing happens. When the pumper figures out that you know more about what's going on than he knows, guess what? He doesn't like that. Then he wants to know a little bit more, and all of a sudden the dialogue exists. And so I get up every morning. I have it on my own wells, and I can check all my wells in about 30 minutes. So there I'm in my pajamas, drinking a cup of coffee. I've got my iPad or my cell phone. I've got a little scratch pad that I use, and I just go in and look at everything. Most of them are okay. But I'll have 3 or 4, and I'll type those in a text, and I do not send the text before 8 o'clock. I just don't. I don't know why. I don't think I'm bugging them. But at 8 o'clock, everybody's supposed to be at work, right? I have this question, this question, and this question. It's not an accusation. It's a question. I'm the owner. I don't understand this. And then they'll go, I'll get back with you. Or, oh, yeah, I meant to tell you about that. And it sets up a dialogue. And so production increase, I'm going to say your average, and what is it? Is it 20% production increase with fracking? Just across the board.
20%.
20%. Okay.
Huge.
It's not rocket science. All that is shortening the distance between failure. The mean time distance between failure gets shortened. You're running more. That's not any problem that you solve. That's not any big deal. That's just fine tuning. So now you can do that. And I've got numbers to prove it. I've done it on my own stuff. And so that's what we do. We take you from 0 to 60.
Wow.
Less than an hour.
So
That's
Greg,
incredible.
No special computers, no special programmers, no operators, nothing. We sat down when we started this, and there was 3 of us are operators, all our own different companies. And we made a list of everything that go wrong and everything that we hated, and we just said we're gonna eliminate all of that. And it's got to be easy to use. It's got to be transparent. The accountants have to be able to look at it, along with the engineers, along with the operators. We've got to do it. It's got to be usable. Most problem with technology is invented by technologists who don't know what the customer really wants. We are the customer.
So you know exactly what you need when you need it.
Yeah, if you tell me I want to come out to an environmental site, saltwater spill or whatever, I know what you're looking at. First of all, you're trying to keep them still saltwater, right?
Right.
And then you need to know what's going down the well. And you need to know what the pressure on the well is.
Right.
So it's just basic stuff that comes with,
I can't even.
40 years.
It's fine. Hey, we got a couple of seconds. We can always ask. But where do you at over there? Upstream.
Oh, okay.
He's got a project he's got to talk about. Upstream.
Yeah, no, we want to. Total Stream, it's not our company. It's a
Partnering with it.
it's a partnership. Okay.
We do that.
And the reason I love Total Stream is they're former oil and gas operators too. Again, same type thing. Operators have taken technology and created something operators can use. So what they do is they're an asset management system. And I'll give you the easy answer. Have you ever been in the field and you were checking on one well, so you had the well record file, but while you were there was another problem, and you had to call back. Where are the PERS? Where's the tubing set? Do we have a packer? And all this stuff. Well, they're not here. They're at lunch. They'll be back. They had to go to the doctor, and everybody's out there waiting around. Total Stream is a total asset management company. It's online. Your company is online. All your production history, your well reports, your schematics, everything that you would need. And if you're out there working on something, just log into it, and it's there.
So all the well Caddie data feeds into that.
Well Caddie that's what we've done. They didn't have that piece. So we're creating a product now where Well Caddie will feed in there. And then the other product is
For buyers and sellers of oil and gas properties, this is really great.
okay, so it's interesting you say that. So people go to sell a property or go buy a property. What's the question? Well, give me all your data. Do you have a data room? Can I see your well? And there's this whole level of work. Well, if your company's mounted online and all your production's there, you just give them a passcode.
Mm-hmm.
And they just log in. You just say, knock yourself out. When you have a question, call me. I'll be glad to explain.
And
So that's what Total Stream does.
for all the capital companies out there that are going to pitch in and start a new company in 5 years, want to flip it, and they've used your data the whole time. Boom.
What about all the non-operators who rely on the revenue, and the first time they find out about the revenue is when the check is down?
Yeah.
Okay. With Well Caddie, with Total Stream, it's unlimited use. You just have to have a username and a password. You can limit access to certain wells. You can have different pumper routes. So it's a, what'd you say? Absolutely. I mean, we've got a project going right now where we're not the only ones that do this. And so you go to a company, they've got a big investment.
The ones I'm interested in.
Well, we're almost there. We have the capability now. No matter where who gathers your data, you can send it through an API to our device. So the real goal is one unified website that you don't have to go to multiple websites. Just look at one. It's wherever you are, you can see the help. So that's the kind of new world stuff that back in 1969, when they thought the slide rule was not possible, but because a young intern taught me how to do robotics and programming and API and all that stuff. So quick story. I'm in college.
There's no quick story.
Okay,
You stretch it out.
One of my professors, Dr. Henry Critchlow, he still may be alive. He was really a smart man. He was one of the very first people to realize how So we're in a class and got an IBM 360 that we're working off of, punch cards, the whole deal.
Oh, geez.
Having us do a reservoir study, you know, and I'm not doing very well. He calls me out of class. Mr. Hall, stand up. So I stand up. If you do not learn how to program, you are going to wind up on a drilling rig, diamond a hole. And my response was, Dr. Critchfield, I thought a drilling rig in Guyman, Oklahoma was one of the places that you found oil and gas. And so he looked at me, and I looked at him, and kind of had to stare off. And, you know, I should have taken this. I should have got that was 1972. Okay, think about how far I've been. But I didn't. I went into the hard iron side of it. I went to work for Chevron drilling wells offshore. That's what I want to do. But my point is, it's been around, but it hasn't always been available. Devon, Exxon, XTO, all those companies do all this. They already have it. They spent millions for the first time. If you have one well,
One well.
yeah, one well.
Excessive.
That one well's important. You have one disposal well. We can
But
be
for
our
those,
customer.
it is scalable though. What you do, you don't have to be a one well operator. You can be a
The best customers are that mid level of 100 to 500
yeah. I mean, I talked to Colby 50 the other day. You know, I mean, they love stuff like this. You know,
Yeah.
Data. That is all.
So here's the other differentiator for us.
Just so you know, by the way, thanks, Colby.
The other differentiator for us is we actually can understand what you need before we even try to sell you. We sit down and the first question we have is, what problem do you have? What problem are you trying to solve? Because we're petroleum engineers. Okay, I apologize in advance for that. You know, an engineer thinks he knows everything.
I need you to because all my best friends are, you know, brain surgeon and oil
brain
gas.
surgeon. He said, just give me a scalpel in the book and put some light on there and I'll get this taken care of. So we're a little bit tough animal to deal with, but they know what they want and you'll sit down and talk with them and you know, it could be a real simple solution. We're not, I sat on the other side of the desk and I hated being loaded up. You know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I'm going to load your wagon. You're in fear. You got troubles. Got the government on you. Hey man, I could really get this guy's pocketbook. I will not do that. But if I could be known as the person that can help you make money, well, guess what? I think I'll get a call back. And if you don't call me back, well, you're probably not that smart. If you're making money and you don't call me back, you might not want you.
You hear that? You know Colwell Caddie. You're not that smart.
Yeah. Anyway. So that's what we do. But just one more thing back to Upstream. They have scaled what the large companies do by digitizing people's work, the asset management. And so that's our relationship. And I'm really fortunate. And interestingly enough, because we started just a couple of years ago with COVID, I've never actually sat in the room with the owner Jeff Dye, but I know him real well. We talk all the time. That's the other interesting thing about the oil company. Well, is you can develop relationships with people that you've never met, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now.
Well, even before you did, you know, it was a remote business.
Yeah.
You know, you had a good reputation. People checked on you. They did business with you. That's one of the things I like about it.
Man, one thing I like about the oil business is I shake hands with most of the people I work with.
Right.
I love refining relationships with our industry. You know, seeing everybody's face, and, you know, hands, seeing you on LinkedIn and finally getting to meet you, you know, stuff like that. That makes me happy.
So you've seen this on LinkedIn?
Oh yeah. Well, okay.
I've seen it on LinkedIn.
Yeah, well, Caddie, yeah, your guys' marketing team, you know, you should give them a raise. They've done well.
You send it out in the ether, and you never really.
Yeah, no.
But I will say this:
great logo, great name. Then you start digging in, like, oh, it does this, this, and this. And so
I won't tell too much about this, but we had a world-class fight inside the company about the logo. I won't go into it. But these are all technologists and marketing people. Remember, Gail? And you would have thought it was World War III.
The logo doesn't matter that much. You just got to hurry up and make one and get it out there.
Well, we're satisfied with this. In fact, Gail.
Only the people that work at the company care about what the logo actually is.
So I will tell you this. I'll tell you Gail's story. Gail designed a box, and we stole this from Apple. Put a lot of effort into the box because people keep boxes. So we've got a box where this logo is on one side and it peels over the top, and it doesn't say well anything. And out at the Bennett Center when we were doing the trade show this past year,
the oil and gas show from OERB.
People would walk by and stop because they saw the box and said, I don't know what you sell, but I like that box. I like it.
Of all the things.
Yeah. So it's fun.
There you go. Maybe you should have a booth in the oil and gas show.
I might be lonely. I don't know.
That's fine. We go there.
Oh, you might be surprised. That's actually a really good show.
Love the show.
Been very
The
good.
Petroleum Alliance, the OERB, and the SOER, man, those huge fan of what they've done in Oklahoma.
And the thing I like about trade shows is when you barge into somebody's office, they may or may not be in a mood to talk about what you're doing. But everybody that comes to the trade show is looking for something. Okay?
George has had success there.
So they're
Some.
but we really think the trade show is great.
So you need to maybe pay them a little bit of money that any time, this is just an idea, there's a spill out of a tank, well Caddie alerts, the owners of the well and the tank battery. And then you get a notification and you go ahead and get out there and give them an evaluation of what you can do. How about that?
Or how about better than that?
Okay.
How about we go to his clients, he gets a referral fee, and then we set up a monitoring service, and then if we see a situation, we can start calling people and saying, hey, you might check this, you think this thing's about to before. It's the old doctor story. It's actually a Chinese proverb. You got three doctors, one of them was a real famous healer, and then the other one had a great general practice, and the other doctor, he didn't have much because his patients never got sick. So the question is, who's the better doctor? Well, I vote for the one whose patients never got sick. I vote for the operator who never has spill. What does that look like?
I don't know.
It's great.
It's great.
And it's a
Well, Caddie.
remember, we didn't even have burns. You remember the day that there were no burns?
Mm-hmm.
And it spilled and just ran out in the guy's field. And so then we went to berms, and then the berms started filling up with rainwater. And, there's this evolution. But I still think you need berms. But now I think as a defensive measure, you need to know your tanks, you need to know your tank capacity, what's overflowing, your injection pressure. Here's another one. People resist this, but put a pressure transducer on the annulus of your injection well. And they're like, well, why would I do that? It's zero. Absolutely. And you got a date stamp and it's zero. It's zero. It's zero. And guess what? When it develops 100 pounds on it, what's most likely has happened? You have a hole in your tubing or your vacuum tube. So now, would you rather repair the tubing right then? Or would you rather wait 3 more years to your MIT test and now it's eating a hole in your casing? And now you've got a $200,000 squeeze job. Those are the little things that it's hard to show up on a balance sheet, but in the absence of that, what you're doing is correct.
Mm-hmm. If I make any noise, it's because I'm pouring myself Poachatown. If you're listening in Oklahoma from Poachatown, you're welcome to continue to send bottles up. We really appreciate these. I love these.
Love
You
it.
obtain today. The next time you're in here, Poachatown it is.
I'm not against it. I'm just against it right this
Yeah, well, I pulled you in here. You're like, man, I don't know what I'm going to get into at this
I
point.
will say this. I've rung the bell a few times in my life. And lived and survived.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's okay.
All right, Steve. Give me a little bit more about your business before I kick everybody out here and we all go home to our families.
All right.
Friday night.
Well, what I would say is what life's been like a little bit outside the oil field, looking back into the oil field, right? Because I know you have
constantly bug you about like, okay, how are you doing?
Well, I know that you have a sort of skewed perception of people outside of the oil and gas.
Whoa.
Maybe, I don't know, just a little. So from looking outside, looking in. And so I can say this right now, that employers and other industries want people to work for them that were in oil and gas.
There we go.
Because of the work ethic, because of the accuracy, their reliability, their availability. To this day, right now, if I'm awake, I'm working, I will answer my phone. I will get back to you. If I'm on the phone, you'll get a text that says I'm on the phone. I mean, I still do that to this day. People shop for houses when they're not working and on the weekends. So I need to be available. And I get that from being in oil and gas. And so that's one thing I like to say, that the oil and gas workers are really held in high regard by industries that value hard work ethic.
Nice.
With that, I can say there's two things you'll never see someone in oil and gas doing out there in Oklahoma City, right? So sometimes I'm driving through traffic, I was kind of looking around, and I see someone sitting in their car by themselves wearing a mask. You know that person's not in the oil and gas business, okay?
No, I mean, 2 weeks ago, I was in Midland, Texas, at the AAD Permian Operators Forum, and we were definitely hugging and loving on each other, a lot of kisses on the cheeks, even saying, "Hey guys, it's so good to see you. 500 of us in this room. Whatever you got, I want it. I love you very much." So yeah, we're not wearing masks in our cars.
That's been something that we've missed though. The last 2 years, my wife is a medical professional. She teaches nursing. We talk about the mental toll of people, the separation, being absent, that type of thing. It's had an effect. I think everybody's ready for it to be over.
Right.
I mean, I pretended like it never existed anyway. I did whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted anyway.
Yeah, Matt never slowed down.
Never slowed down.
Yeah. Well, there's one more place that you won't find someone feeling like that. So after the light turns green, you kind of laugh at the person in the car by themselves wearing a mask. You're driving by the next weed dispensary, right? You're not going to find a bunch of trucks parked backwards in that parking lot. And sometimes I have to look to see if I recognize cars.
This is true.
But you mentioned that, and one of the downsides to that right now, because I've got several friends, real friends that are vendors that have their own
Bros.
company, and get your CDL, and you can't have a marijuana license because you can't drive, you can't get insurance. And so there's a real restriction on people that they can hire because it's so prevalent.
Hey, we're talking about, so interestingly enough, there are people here in Oklahoma with grows, right? They're looking for cheap, reliable, energy to keep their grows.
I have a good story about that.
Yeah, I think you may have even started me off on this, but if they have the flare gas nearby and they can put together a generator out there to run that flare gas into electricity, instead of feeding it to the grid, they're feeding the grows with their lighting sources. So it's not possible for our industry to partner with, that industry, the medicinal industry, and say, hey, by the way, we have this trapped flare gas that we can turn it into generator power. And if you want to put your grows over there somehow, you guys can pay us for our electricity. Right. Well, I mean, there's no end to what we can do for our world.
So that would require the people growing to be smart about energy, right? So that's a good segue to my story. So when it was during the downturn, we had that really cold ice storm that hit the city in this region. And
you were out there cutting. I mean, how many crews did you have? You guys
were busy. Yeah, man. So before so we were doing the chainsaw and all that. Yeah, and so, I got a call from my friend. I'm going to give my friend Brent Combs a plug here and Poly Pipe. So it just so happened that Brent had a lot of generators in the yard when all the rigs left. And so he got a call from a weed grow, and their electricity was down, and all their plants were going to die if they didn't have electricity. So Brent's like, well, I've got a generator, and it's the size of this room we're in, right? So he pulls up in that and rigs it up for him and all that, right? And so they get this, it's turned the middle building into this weed grow thing. The wiring was really bad. And so the next day, Brent gets a call, and these guys are complaining, man, your generator sucks. It doesn't work. It's broke down, all this and that. And Brent's like, okay, well, I'll be there in just about 10 minutes. And Brent, the owner of the company, shows up himself. Those guys ran out of diesel, okay? So those are the type of people that are doing these weed grows. And not all of them, I guess, but these people were. And so, so what Brent says, well, I can have a truck show up and fill this thing up real fast. You know what they do? Nope. They're using yellow 5-gallon tanks to fill up a generator the size of this room. It's like a 400-gallon. I mean, it was comical. And we were just sitting there watching him. He's like, you get a kick out of this. We went up there at midnight. I was watching.
I always get a kick out of stories outside of oil and gas.
Yeah.
We're in this room. I definitely want to just say thank you for everybody out there that's in oil and gas, what you do. I'm just so appreciative of our industry and the people in it. I mean, this is my family. It's giving back to me, giving back to me, giving back to me, giving back to me. So for you guys to be in this with me and here, I'm just astonished. I get to hang out with my friends maybe every Friday and promote, Caddie and Greg. I get to meet you, find out about your story. George, I've heard your story too much, and I love you anyway. And C. Davis, who I cherish in my life.
Love you too, yeah.
So for me, the oil and gas industry gave me my start, gave me my education, gave me my start. And when I went into business for myself for 40 plus years, paid my taxes, paid my mortgage, sent my kids to school, bought cars, groceries. That's what's done for me.
And you created jobs for other people.
And
Yeah. How many people do you employ right now? How is Well Caddie contributing to our industry right now with that?
yeah, what are we about 12 right now? Right.
12 people because of
We'll be double that. I think.
Wow.
We'll be double that. We got a big growth spurt.
Well, I don't think you're going to plan it. I think our industry is hungry for data on their wells, and you have it.
We have a saying, missing data is missing data.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
20% increase in profitability.
Just by starting.
Yep.
That's just the start. And then it goes from there.
Where do you see it going from here? What else do you think Well Caddie can do in the future?
We've been asked
What do
to
you
put
learn?
Well Caddie on a roller coaster. They wanted all roller coasters is a series of tracks and motors, right? They want,
Yes.
They want they want to know when the motors are running, what their loads are, when they go down. Okay, that was an unusual request. Farming, water, you see all those either
Divots.
gas powered or electric powered submersible pumps out there. We're looking at that. Rural water is a big one. We've dabbled in it. We haven't gone into it yet, but right now most rural water is 1.5 full-time employees. It's a full-time guy and a part-time guy, a weekend guy. And you know how you know when the water system's down? When the lady's washing her hair, she runs out of water.
We're going to get in trouble in this podcast.
I know. Well,
There are
Honey, you use all the water you want.
there are some industries that are heavily digitized. The medical industry, you know, I've got a couple of buddies that are cardiologists, and in the old days, back when, they get a call 3 a.m. on Mr. Davis or whatever, and they would sit and talk to the nurse, and the nurse would read the chart, and then he'd have to interpret, and then finally he'd say, "Oh heck, I'm just going to get dressed and come up." That was it. Now all that's digitized, and he can get it on his phone. And so he can look at the patient's chart and look at it and say, "Hey, I need to come up or do this," and we'll monitor that out. There are a lot of automobile industry heavily digitized. I mean, big time. I mean, the data industry. But the oil, particularly the independent oil and gas industry, is the last largest undigitized industry in the world. And we're not even talking overseas. We've been asked to go overseas. We're not ready yet. There's a whole bunch of regulatory issues there.
How many operators are right here in Oklahoma? Have you ever got on the Corporation Commission operator list? Thousands, right? I mean, really, just like, hey, I have one well.
10,000.
It's producing. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either anymore.
But I mean, it's everything from I've got 3 wells and I eat off the
But there's our goal this year. I'm going to help promote you. Like, hey, by the way, if you have a well site and you have a tank battery and everything that Well Caddie can do, there we go.
If you have one well,
There you go.
because I was the guy that owned that one well, and I needed that income to feed my family. I know what that feels like. You have one well, you be our customer, and we'll be glad that you are.
Well, I'm honored to promote.
well, Matt, remind me not to get on a roller coaster that's not certified by Well Caddie.
All right, before we get out of here, go around the room real quick and tell everybody out there how to get a hold of you. Go ahead, Steve.
All right, Steve Davis. I'm at Hometown Lenders here in Oakland City. We're a local lender. You can call me at 405-651-1729.
You're on LinkedIn too.
I'm on LinkedIn too.
And George Edwards.
George Edwards,
Environmental. My
Edwards
favorite.
Environmental Corporation. You can reach me at 405-843-3431, and I'm on LinkedIn as well.
And hey, I just got George a tripod and a little microphone for his lapel. So watch for him on LinkedIn. I'm going to be making him do little videos out in the middle of nowhere talking about oil and gas stuff.
Okay.
Greg
Hall, I'm chairman of Well Caddie. The best place to get us is wellcaddie.com, or you can call me at 405-630-7620 and or ghall at wellcaddie.com.
G-Hall.
I love our company is Greg Hall Oil and Gas, and I didn't design it this way, but our guys started calling it G-Hall. So
This is the next podcast. Hey, by the way, anybody that's ever been in this room, you're now patched in. You're welcome to be a guest host and bring your friends in here. If I know, Greg, that you have some interesting friends that tell their stories.
I have some.
So anybody that you can con in to coming in here with you, we'll get them in here. We'll continue to promote Well Caddie, and then bring your friends in here to talk about what they do too.
Let's
right?
do it.
All right.
It's been great.
All right. I appreciate all of you guys. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time on the Talking Energy Show. Thanks again, Trace Management, for the space. Take care.
You.
Bye bye.